Right, we are here. The Blueies and Shoeies, we are back. I'm excited because it is the new NFL season, mate.
We are back.
We're back.
Even though if you just watched part one, this is continuation. We are back.
We've just finished the top 10 headlines of the off-season. Please listen. Spotify, YouTube.
This part won't make any sense unless you watch the first part.
Exactly, guys. It's like
no sense at all.
It's like watching the second...
This won't make any sense anyway.
Yeah, it's like watching the second movie of The Hobbit without knowing about the first part. Or...
Yeah. Why did they make 3 films?
Exactly.
It's the big story.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, let's go. So the first part was all about the top 10 pre-season headlines, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. This is the more, in my opinion, the more fun part for me because it's about the predictions. It's how bad can I get it wrong, right? How wrong can I be at the end of the season? Who am I going to jinx? Who should win the Super Bowl? And I'm going to make them runners up for the wooden spoon or number 2 in the draft. So we'll start with the AFC. The AFC is predominantly over the last 5 years has been the best division, the hardest conference to come through.
And it's now easily the toughest conference.
Oh, it's much harder than the NFC. So we'll start with that because it's exciting. And we'll start with the East. We're going to do East, West, North, South of both divisions, of both conferences. I will start AFC East. And that contains the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. And that is the order I'm going to stick to.
Let's do that again, sorry.
The Jets
to
win the division.
Right.
The Bills to come second, the Dolphins third, and the Patriots fourth. I also will have a caveat and say that the top 3, Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, will all make the playoffs. They will all have winning seasons. Maybe the Dolphins will be 9 or 10. Bills will definitely be 10 or 11. And the Jets, I think, are going to be 11 or 12. I think that even...
Talk to me, just a really quick snapshot as why you're picking that order.
So the Bills over the last couple of years have been the best team. They've overly disappointed. And in part 1, we talked about why they've over disappointed and how unlucky they've been and blah, blah, blah. Getting into this pre-season, there was the Diggs stuff, which I think made number 4 in the top 10. Drama. So Diggs isn't happy. Von Miller's, is he fully fit? They've lost a couple of players. I like Kincaid, the tight end, but I didn't think Knox was a terrible one anyway. Also, I think the type of quarterback that Allen is and how boisterous he is with the running, it's only a matter of time before he gets a serious injury, and he's been dodging it for years. I think that
with Drabble going to the Giants, and we saw what he did with Danny Dimes, and
I think Allen could get an injury, and if he gets an injury, that team's awful. That's how good he is. So I just think the Bills will not be as strong as they were the last couple of years. And I think the Jets are going to have that real firework up their bum with Rodgers. They already have I think Rodgers will make a huge difference to them, the confidence-wise, like that Brady walking into Bucks type of locker room. I saw the Hard Knocks documentary, and he's in every scene, so he's obviously it's all about him. But
I must say really quickly, it looks like the dynamic between him and Wilson seems pretty good. Wilson famously said, whoever they bring in above me, I'm going to make their life hell. They actually look, if you bring in a guy like Rodgers, you're not going to be saying, mate, I'm going to make your life hell.
And if Wilson has a brain, which we're not sure he does, but if he does have a brain, and we're talking about Zach Wilson or Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver, but if he's got a brain, he's only here for 1 year if he wins it. If he wins the Super Bowl, there's no way he's going to do a second year, right?
He'll be there for 2 years.
So he'll be there for 2 years if they don't win it this year, right? Because I think he wants to win it. Zach Wilson is young, and he's learning from the best. So if you're an idiot, then you can try and go against the grain. And if you're smart, you'll learn every single bit.
If you've got 3 brain cells, put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to be particularly...
And I don't think Zach Wilson's ruined his opportunities at the Jets. So in 2 years' time, he could still be the starting quarterback. He could be ready to step up.
And Rodgers could be introducing him to women at the age
he likes. Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. But yeah, anyway, I've gone Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. Now, I know you wouldn't have gone that 4 as well. So
I'll correct the order, because obviously that's disastrous.
Is that mental?
That's disastrous.
Okay. I bet you get Jets 3rd or 4th.
I've got Jets 3rd. I think the obvious Pats.
But you are a Pats fan. I thought you might have even gone sneaky.
I'm a Pats fan. I'm a soft Pats fan. Not as strong as the mighty Boston Celtics in the NBA. But that's why I've sort of based my...
Yeah, you're a realist as well. They are the weakest team out of those 4, which is quite clear.
The offense is just ridiculous. No. The fact that they actually scored so many touchdowns from turnovers last year.
Yeah.
Judon, the like, they've got they'll still be incredibly hard to score points against with Belichick. But Rascal offense. I've got the Bills coming in number 1. I still think to a man, especially on the defensive side, if Von Miller stays fit, they're going to be extremely strong. I think they'll have a top 5 defense, and offense is still incredibly talented with 3 good wide receivers, Diggs obviously being a superstar, and I think they'll get more out of their running game this year.
I think they will. I think Cook could be a surprise as a running game.
Yeah.
And as I did say, the way Allen runs the ball, they need to stop that because it's such a risk.
Yeah, and I think,
so if they do that, then it means that their running game, that they've just got, what's his name from the Pats as well, Harris.
Yeah.
And like Cook's year 2, and Cook's obviously the younger brother of Dalvin Cook.
It makes no sense to be based up in Buffalo, which is, if anyone's unsure,
the coldest place.
North of New York, ridiculous during the winter, and be throwing the ball, especially and letting your quarterback, who's your number one player, running the ball and risking injury. So I think finally they'll get it. I don't think they're going to be as good as they should be on running the ball. Do
you think they'll be as good as they were the last 2 seasons?
I think they'll improve just as far. I'll put it this way: I've got them number 1. So where they go from there, I'm still not quite sure. Time will tell. I think they'll win.
So should we have a shoey on the Jets, first game of the season, Jets, Bills? I've got Jets to top the group. You've got Bills.
Write that down. We'll definitely have
Write that down.
Write that down, sir. I've got Dolphins number 2. The big concern for me with the Dolphins is Tua.
If he's fit, he's throwing to 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. The 2 fastest anyway in the game.
Most electric wide receivers, Martin.
And a really good running game and a great coach, offensive coach. However, like I said, Tua takes another head knock and he's out. He's gone. Right? And then they've got to drop him. They can't play him.
So number 2,
Teddy Bridgewater.
I think he's capable.
He's all right. He's capable.
But again,
you're not going to beat the Bills and the Jets. I mean, the thing is, the Dolphins have done really well against the Jets.
That's the thing. Like a Shanahan offense, they don't need absolute studs at QB. I mean, I think Tua's limited. He's accurate, but he can't throw a huge ball.
Yeah.
And God, imagine having a guy with a bigger arm throwing to Hill and Waddle.
Oh, of course.
That could throw further over the top.
And also someone like Mahomes who can escape the pocket. Tua's been hit a lot for a reason.
Yeah.
Because he's not as elusive in the pocket as he should be.
The guy, he had 2 or 3?
2 major ones last year. One that they said wasn't one as well. But
I really like Michael Daniels. I really like Michael Daniels.
Yeah, he's actually my favourite coach in the whole league, just because his interviews and everything it's fun.
Yeah,
he's not necessarily the best coach, but he's certainly the most entertaining to watch.
Well, he's certainly one of the most innovative.
And I think he's happy to lose and go for it. Whereas like Bill Belichick, under no circumstances will make a risk. The boy at Green Bay will not make a risk. You saw that in the semis against the Bucks 2 years ago when they took the 3, rather than a minute and a half to go.
I think they'll change that this year. But good point. But Mike McDaniels for me is certainly one of the good guys of the league as far as comedy. But
there's a famous quote where they say when you see him in his interviews, it's like his dad's left him the company for the week. He doesn't quite act like he's supposed to be in that job. He's always cheeky and taking the piss.
A nerd. He obviously is never. I dare say he's never played a down of football in his life.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But he's like a computer nerd that just understands.
So anyway, let me get this right. You've gone Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots.
That's it. Right. I just think the Jets,
which is the same as last year.
And look, I do think the Jets naturally will be really good this year. Again, my major concern is it's the first year for Rodgers. Rodgers didn't have a great year until the last few games of last season. For the Packers last year. He's 40. And if he takes a couple of hits early on, a little bit like Tua, I just think there's a bit of concern.
I agree, but I also think if you've been in the same job, company, team for 20 years, you are going to get a bit stale and start blaming other people and everything else in the organisation.
Yeah, he does look like
he looks younger, he looks fresher, he looks ready. And the fact he took a $15 million pay cut.
That is huge.
Right? That shows it's not all about him, and he actually wants the team to be good. He's doing a Brady. Brady never was the highest paid player on the team. He always wanted to make sure he would take a drop every year to try and keep the team.
For me, they've got to then get in that protection with that money. But I don't know where they're at with...
they are saying the offensive line is much better than last year, but it doesn't mean it's good. It just means better. But I mean, better from 0 is only up.
Anyway,
right.
so I've got Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. And
so that's a big difference, right? I've got a 1 and you've got a 3.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Are you doing a shoey of the first game of the season?
Yes.
Yeah, lovely.
And I'll take Jets, you take Bills.
Perfect. I'll do AFC West. I'll start off.
Is a hard one.
Yeah.
It's actually harder than you think, but I mean, I think we're both going to agree on the number 1.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. It's hard to look past the Chiefs.
Yep.
As an organisation, you can only tip your cap to guys that are willing to let Tyreek Hill leave and then have guys that are unproven, guys that they've brought in from other teams that haven't quite performed, and then Mahomes take on more in his play and just prove what an absolute stud this guy is. Superstar. I mean, if you haven't watched it,
I've seen one of the worst wide receiver corps in the league.
Yeah,
and last year was supposed to be a transition year with the defensive line, and the wide receivers, and they won the Super Bowl, right?
Well,
So
they did
based on
they did a pat
Mahomes.
on the Pats as far as they got Juju Schuster, whose career was floundering at the Steelers.
Yeah.
Made him look like a stud, and he's kind of got a really.
Again,
good contract with the
he
Pats.
didn't stand out like.
But he contributed.
No, he contributed. But what I'm saying, they had
Scout
Aldous Scanlon, they had the boy Sky Moore, and they had a couple of just
McKinnon,
4 or 5 coming in. McKinnon as a running back was taking
the other running back was a Pancho, or
Pancho, and the other one that ended up now the Jets, the wide receiver, who was another like 4th or 5th, and always got touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because they have the greatest quarterback in the world.
And Liam Kelsey, right?
Kelsey, I mean...
He's basically he's not a wide receiver, but
he's a tight end, but he's the best tight end in the world by a mile. So you're going Chiefs?
I've got Chiefs 1, I've got a real soft spot for this team, the mighty Chargers at 2.
Yep.
With Herbert, with the new Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator. I think that's been the huge part of the Chargers as far as what they've lacked is good calls, good routes, as they say in the States.
Yep.
The offense has been pretty one-dimensional, having what is a thoroughbred at quarterback. It's so predictable for defenses to read.
Yeah, just assuming he'll find you.
And it's been rascal. So to bring in what is much touted as one of the new and young great minds of the league.
That's a real steal. And the Cowboys said when they lost him, it's a disaster for them.
They thought
he was going to go to be head coach, and he's going just to be offensive coach.
They've got McCarthy, who can't run a game himself, and terrible in offense. Anyway. Chargers at 2 with the Broncos at 3.
Yep.
Sean Payton. I mean, what he did with the famous quarterback at the Saints. Please help me.
Or Drew Brees.
Drew Brees. Small quarterback again.
Yeah. Drew Brees was ex-Chargers as well.
100%. He had the Tyson Hill, who's basically a quarterback, play half decent at quarterback. He made Jameis Winston look half decent.
Yeah.
This guy's a little oracle for quarterback. So if there's anyone that's going to revive Russell's career
100%.
After an absolute shocker, and he's made him lose weight. Apparently, again with Hackett, Wilson was able to come in with his team, the gravy train entourage. He's cut all of that out and really got down to basics. So I think we'll see a much improved Broncos. The only thing with the Broncos is, again, the division is extremely tough, but I can see them finishing 3rd and still making it through the playoffs. With the Raiders at 4, despite having a number of stars. But I don't think the running back's been signed up yet.
Jacobs has signed up last week. He's safe and he's a star. I have to be honest, I didn't like him the first couple of years because he was a star in college and then completely disappointed, underwhelmed. But last year he was number 1 running back, fantasy anyway. And looks really good. He can handle the full load, doesn't need to be in a committee. However, they've lost Waller. They've traded down, in my opinion, because I think Carl's a better quarterback than Jimmy G.
But they do say, I don't know if you've seen it, I mean, rumour has it this guy that is backup to Jimmy G, and we know what Jimmy G's injury record is like, but apparently the backup looks very impressive who they drafted from the depths of the draft, but such a tough
division.
Always, they've got Crosby and Chandler as edge rushers. They've got a good defense. They've got Devontae
Adams is top 3 wide receiver.
What a good team that needs probably 2 key positions, sort of quarterback and one other.
But I think they're planning for the future. I think next year they probably try and upgrade the quarterback. This was
another year for.
But I know it is. That's right, and he might go or he might retire. But
I've got them at 4.
I've gone the exact same. I'm going Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, and I'll just quickly because we've picked the same. I don't want to waste too much time. Chiefs because they're the best in the NFL, and I think they'll be the team to beat going for the Super Bowl. I think they look stronger this year than they did last year. The guy Rice that they've picked, I think, is going to be another weapon in the wide receivers. Chargers, again, I've got a soft spot for them as well, even though I support the Giants. I think they could be the dark horse to win the whole thing. I said that right when we got the new offensive coordinator. I also think you're going to get a fit season at Allen and Williams. They were both kind of half injured last year. As long as they saw Eckler and keep him happy, then I think their weapons are really, really strong, and you've got such a good quarterback who again was carrying an injury from game 2 last year.
Eckler, as long as Eckler, and I'm sure he will do, he's ultimate professional. He is livid about the
of course, but that's not
and sort of rightfully
so.
So.
That's the NFL's fault. He's raging because that's status quo.
Well, it's each team's.
I know, but it's still the status quo not to pay your running back. They're trying to change that, but the NFL don't do it, and it's a bit like in rugby league. You pay your forwards too much, then your backs don't get paid, and then your team suffers, right? Anyway, I've got Broncos at 3. Very similar things to you. I think the coach and the fact that he is a super good quarterback now with a good coach, they'll be great. Raiders, they're 4th only because there's only 4 teams. Someone's got to be 4th. I don't think they're a bad team. I think they'll probably end up with 7 or 8 wins over the season. but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Just a quick one on the Raiders. McDaniels, right? Much touted offensive coordinator. We spoke about the years of success with Brady.
Yep.
I think he had a gig at the Broncos. He's turned down many other head coaching roles.
Yep.
Finally took up the Raiders gig. It's not been going to plan.
It's not been going to plan, but I mean, there's 30 coaches, right? And only one can win, right? Only if a committed player, 16 committed players, right? It's not always, it's not always going to go to plan anyway. No, they did, and they lost first round to Cincinnati. But they are a decent enough squad, a decent team. They play in Vegas, so that would be enough to get me to sign for them anyway.
Yes.
It's the Death Star, amazing.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, they're unfortunately just in the toughest division of football.
Just think, I mean, he's probably got to have an agreement with the one more year and maybe just sort of regroup, and then he's going to make the most.
But I mean, again, you've got, if you own a club, you're not going to ask for division title. You're going to ask to make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs from third or fourth, that's still an achievement.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you look at Chiefs.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, they're coming fourth in my book. They might beat the Broncos. They might beat the Chargers. Who knows? It was close last year. I've gone the same as you. Yeah. So we'll move on to
AFC North.
AFC.
What do you think, mate?
Well, I'll go first this time.
You go for it.
And this, I think, is the surprise closest division of the season, right? I think the Ravens are going to win it. Bengals second, Steelers third, and Browns fourth. And I'm quite happy to go on record here right now and say that I could get all four of them completely wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Of course.
I say it was all of them, obviously, but I mean, this is the closest one. And when I was trying to think, the Steelers could win that division easily. The Bengals, if Joey Burrow comes back fit quicker than expected, he might miss the first 3 games, which could cost him 3 wins, which will be vital. If he comes back early, they could still top that. They've been the best team in that division for the last couple of years. Yeah. The Ravens with their new weapons is why I'm picking them.
Yeah.
I think the running game is going to be even better than it's ever been because the defences are going to be second guessing whether they're going to throw, which is the first time that's ever happened. So I've got Ravens to win it, Bengals second, Steelers third, and Browns fourth. I think the Browns are going to take a lot of wins this year with that's not his real name, Deshaun Watson back at quarterback. I think he's had a full pre-season. I think we could see the old Deshaun Watson. They've still got Cooper and stuff like that as wide receivers. They could take a lot of wins as well. So that's for me going to be the most interesting division of the whole NFL.
Right.
But I've gone Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns.
So when you give you the right order?
You can give me your right order.
Okay. Bengals number 1. You can't argue with the record over the last few
years. You can, but Joey Burrow's injured.
Yeah, just for a couple of games. Apparently he's ready for number 1, but they might just give him
I'm saying
another week out.
I hope so, because I love watching him. But if he's out, they're not the same team.
No, but I mean, again, I don't think you need.
They've lost 2 of the big defenders as well in the summer. Yeah, because they couldn't afford to keep everyone.
Yeah, but you don't need a genius at quarterback with the amount of weapons that they've got.
Listen, it wouldn't be fun if you were picking the exact same as me. So you've got Bengals.
But that's why I'm just giving you the right order.
Okay, cool.
Number 2, going for the Ravens, just ahead of the Steelers. Yeah. I just think Lamar's time to shine. He's got more weapons than he ever has. And again, his win record, thinking about history, is ridiculous in regular season. So I think he's at 70-75%. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And he'll have more weapons this year. Steelers at 3. If you listen to our top 10 stories or headlines of the off-season, we spoke about Kenny Pickett.
Looking good.
I mean, he had the beauty of it is that he didn't have 3 or 4 games. He had the best part of the whole of last season.
Most of the season last year, yeah. They gave the other guy the first couple of games to let him settle in, and then it's his team, and he's had that confidence now.
The rascal from the Bears, who he was a flop, Trubisky. So Kenny Pickett is the man. That's where he played for Pittsburgh University, so he knows the stadium inside out. Yep. He's got good weapons, and the defense is unbelievable. And Mike Tomlin will continue to have a winning record, which is unbelievable. The Browns, we talk about history. The Browns are perennial underachievers.
Wooden spooners.
Deshaun Watson was easily one of my favourite players.
Me too. Me was my favourite quarterback. It was him and Hopkins.
What a double act. It was unbelievable. And
they were great watching in the fourth when they were behind because you knew they would just keep attacking. Yeah. So whether he's got that, as I said, I've got them fourth as well. But if he comes back and he's that old, Deshaun Watson, then they'll be exciting to watch.
Who's again, should have been better prepared, but the Dallas boy wide receiver.
Mari Cooper.
Murray Cooper. So
Yeah, he's there again. It's second season for him there, so he'll be more settled.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's the number one. He's the number one target. They've got David Njoku at tight end, who's a real.
He's decent. Yeah,
he's a good target anyway.
Again, I just think they're a little bit limited.
They've got the best running back for carries. Yeah, Chubb is a beast, right?
An animal.
So they will be hard to beat, and they've got Garrett in defence and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I really rate the defence. I think it might just be a tad light on offence.
It's just a tough division, though.
100%, mate. But AFC South, I'll lead us off.
Yeah.
This is
I'm not going the same as you, because basically you've told me what's right both times when I've gone first, and then the one time you've gone first, I've said the exact same. So if I say the exact same here, I'm going to be upset. Like, it's going to look like I'm just copying you.
Well, it's a no-brainer for me anyway. It should be a no-brainer for the Jags to win.
It's not a no-brainer, because the Titans have dominated that division for a long time. Yeah. They've got a great coach, but I just think the Jags are building in such a good momentum at the moment that you've got to pick them to win that division.
Yeah, who was the guy that drafted? They got Kirk, who for me had an unbelievable first.
But they got Ridley. They just got Ridley. Ridley was a top 5 wide receiver before his gambling ban.
And then we got.
And he'll be number 1.
Yeah, and they got Doug Peterson, who's had his first year within 5 games. Yeah. Already set the record for the Jaguars, sort of most wins in a season.
Well, they made the playoffs. They actually won a playoff game as well. And Lawrence was tipped to be the next big quarterback anyway, but he's proven he's getting better and better and better. Yeah. And again, he started at a dog shit team, same as Burrow. Yeah. And he's taken a little bit longer than Burrow, but only because he had a full year with the basket case coach, didn't they? He was going to Vegas on nights out. Yeah, you guys can't drink, but I've got to Vegas.
I'm going to go touch up college girls.
Seems good. Yeah,
I'm going to go touch up college girls.
Right. So Jags number 1. We're both agreed on that.
Yeah. Look, this was a tough one just because I think
this one's obvious as well.
I do think the other are probably another draft away from improving, but the Titans are boring, but they're stable. I've got huge respect. One of the few guys, I don't think he's gone through the Belichick coaching tree, but did play for the Pats. Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel was one of his main players.
Derek Henry, running back, for me, one of my favourite players.
And they got D-Hop now as well. They got Hopkins wide receiver.
Who's probably replacing Brown, who they didn't replace last AJ Brown.
Yeah, last year they were awful. They got Mickey Trees to replace him last year, which was just awful. Yeah. But I think that one wide receiver, that gun wide receiver who can be in triple coverage and still get the catch, he's worth points. Yeah. Right? It's just whether they decide which quarterback they're going to stick with this year, and because they pick and choose.
Another one, haven't they?
Yeah.
Because I really like.
But I think if you're going to get, when they got the quarterback they got this year, he was
Willis.
No, Willis was the year before. The guy that eats mayonnaise. Right, so he was supposed to go in the top 4, and then Will Levy, and they got him in the second round. You've got to take him, right? Because he's a gun. Right, but if you're going to be in the, I think he is. I think you'll see him in the next 2 years as the number 1.
You know, he reminds me of the Baker Mayfields.
No, he's a big giant.
But
Baker Mayfield's tiny little chip on the shoulder type of guy.
Well, that's what he's got. He's got
a chip, but so did Brady. Brady said that to them. Keep the chip.
Yeah, but in the right way.
Yeah.
Quiet, behind closed doors. I want to win. You remember, you've seen Jordan. Someone just annoys him, and he uses just one comment, and I took that personally. But he doesn't go out there and say it. He delivers on the call.
Anyway,
for me,
I still think if you're getting him in the second round, you take him. Right? If you're getting him in the first 4 or 5, which we were talking about, picks, then it didn't happen. Yeah. But I still think he's a good quarterback. Yeah. But anyway, you've got Jags, Titans next.
I'm going to go with the Texans at 3, purely because they got Pierce at running back. I thought they were stable last year, albeit they've got the new...
We're the second worst team in the league.
You know what I mean? They didn't get pumped, basically, in teams. So,
the Colts were third best, worst team in the league as well. So you have 2 of the bottom 3 teams, right?
They've drafted, obviously, some high-quality guys, albeit out of what is supposed to be an average draft class. Yeah. And they've got number 2, was it CJ Stroud they drafted?
They got Stroud, and they got Anderson at 3. Yeah. So it's a strong draft.
Yeah, and they got Shanahan's assistant, albeit on the defensive end.
Yeah, ex-Houston legend as well.
Yeah, he should tighten up the defense at least.
Yep.
With the Colts at 4, who are just abysmal at the moment. They're obviously looking at trade Jonathan Taylor, albeit apparently they wanted Waddle from the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
That's not happening, is it?
If I was the Colts, I'd be happy with that. If I was the Dolphins, I'd be okay with that as well.
Absolutely not, mate.
Anyway, I think it's a superstar running back for top 20 wide receivers.
Have you seen the bloke they drafted there, Richardson?
Yeah, he's a running back. Like throws, he's in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, on steroids.
Yeah.
But the thing I liked about that pick, right, is If it doesn't work out, they can move on. They've not recovered from luck retiring middle of the season. But the thing is, when you look at the AFC, we've mentioned the other the other three divisions are the best in the NFL. If you're ever going to stand a chance of not only getting out of your own division, but winning a conference in the future, you need X factor at quarterback. And if Richardson comes off, I mean, his stats in terms of being an athlete are off the hook. He's got an arm. I mean, he can almost throw it the whole length of the pitch. So if they can mould him, again, it's high risk, high reward. Otherwise, you move on. I like what they've done at quarterback, even though they've picked him very high and he's not played a lot of games.
The way the draft went, and I think the first 2 were quarterbacks, and then the 3 was Houston again. So literally, they weren't going to take 2 quarterbacks. So your first 3 picks are all quarterbacks.
5, I think.
They came in at 4, and they took him, and it was between him and Will Levy, right? And they knew that the one that never got it could be waiting to the second day, because there wasn't a lot of need for a quarterback after those 3.
But I don't know if you've seen.
And I think Will Levy's ready to be the number 1 quarterback in a team before Richardson, but Richardson has so much upside. I think in 6 months to a year in that team could be a top 10.
When I look at saw the draft video on Richardson, good bloke, just like the guy that Titans drafted last year. Good man, works hard, does the right thing. I think
like a horse.
Levy reminds you of the guy that, like Baker Mayfield, has a chip on his shoulder, but not the right chip and for the right reasons. But time will tell. So I've got Jaguars. Exactly, So I've got one.
The white quarterback who's had his whole life given to him.
Handed to him, So I've got. Let me get that. So I've got Jags at 1, Titans at 2, Texans 3, Colts 4.
Cool. So I will quickly just say, I'll show you the right one now.
Go for it.
Nah, I'm only joking. Yours is probably the right one. I've gone Jags. I think that's an easy one. Titans, although they've been the dominant force in this division for a long time, I think the Jags are just better now. But I think the Titans are an easy pick at 2. They're just, and I think there's a real daylight between
especially the Colts. Hopkins, I think.
I think there's daylight between the Colts and Texans and the Titans and the Jags. And serious daylight. Colts and Texans was a toss a coin, and I'm glad I went the opposite. We're different at least. I've gone Colts 3, Texans 4. The reason I've gone Texans below, I think they're going to be coming in with a lot of confidence, new quarterback, new coach, all that stuff, but a lot of naivety with the new coach, the new quarterback. I just don't think there's any experience. I think the Colts are into their second season with the coach. And again, they've got the X factor quarterback. If they keep, I hope they do keep him, but if they keep the running back, then they'll keep that running game. It'll be a strong game. Again, I don't fancy any of these two not being in the bottom 5 of all teams, right? But it's just a weak division. But I've got Colts to finish above the Texans.
Jeez, I mean, you think about the rest of the AFC and you look at that division. Jeez, it should be a walk in the park for the Jags. But that completes the AFC, and we'll be on next to the NFC.
Cool.